I have been completing the research module on metacognition and self-regulated learning with the Hampshire Research School. The reason I chose to start the training was that I've been teaching for about 10 years now, and CPD opportunities kind of become just your yearly CPD within school, and I felt ready to refine and reflect and change my practice a little bit as time was going on. And I was thinking about what can I do to make myself an effective teacher, and how can I change what I do in the classroom to get better language learners out of my lessons. So it seemed timely to take on a challenge, have time to devote to it, and to think about how I can use the science of learning to help better support the learners in my classroom. The training has helped me to reflect on my teaching practice, in that one of the key takeaways I have had since I've been doing the research module is that metacognition serves to teach you how to make the implicit learning that's happening explicit in your teaching, and really sharing with your learners what it is that they need to be able to do to access the materials. Previously, I found with language learning that students can be frustrated because they are set a task and we say to get on with it and to see if you can complete it, and we probably miss a few of the stages that they need in order to be able to complete it and complete it well, and it can be a bit frustrating as a learner. So I found that the training module has been really useful to help me structure my lessons and structure my planning, and try to appreciate from a learner's point of view what things they need to know and what skills they need in order to be able to approach that task appropriately. When thinking about how I incorporate metacognition in my teaching practice, I think one of the most valuable things I've been doing when it comes to language learning is to be thinking about explaining how to approach tasks, particularly homework tasks. One of the biggest things we do with our language learners is send them off to learn vocabulary. That's a very frequent homework task, and you will set a test the next week and see what their score is and see if they've improved. I think what I realised was that all too often I was setting them that as a task, but never really explaining how to go about learning the words themselves. I would just say, here's your homework, learn these words and come back. And it seems perhaps obvious and quite common sense, but it's taking that time to go through with your students, particularly if you start it in the lower years, in year 7, train them in the strategies that we as linguists are experts at, and talk them through how we learn words, how our brain works, how we can recall the vocabulary, and really thinking about showing them the techniques and the strategies to apply, rather than just giving them the task and expecting or assuming their knowledge that they know how to do that. When considering high-stakes exams, and particularly GCSE assessments or speaking assessments or writing tasks that students may have to do, it's important to consider that we have to teach content alongside study skills, and that can be quite challenging, and it can be a bit of a weighing up of options and what do we devote our classroom time, being that it's so precious. One of the things that I've often found with our language learners is that we often set a writing homework or a writing task, and students go away and they produce you something and they bring it back and you find that it is from Google Translate. So you mean that they've cut out the middleman, they've gone straight to a tool that can do the work for them. So what we've been trying to do lately is to break it down. Why are they having to reach for that tool? What can we do instead to help support them? How can we scaffold the task so that they're able to access that material a little bit more? In terms of doing that, what we've also found is that students are then able to better access the study skills in terms of the exam, because their knowledge base is stronger. So it's kind of not taking for granted that they know how to access a task. It's not assuming their knowledge about a task and how that they approach it, showing them how to do it, guiding them through, giving them support materials and study equipment, referring them to pages and things that they can use to help them. And then hopefully you can gradually remove that scaffold so that they can produce the work themselves. The plan being that then you end up with a really decent piece of work that they've been able to produce themselves, but you've guided them alongside. And for me, that's really what the metacognition has been about. It's not assuming their knowledge, it's helping them to see how they best prepare and how they study, and then gradually removing that support away so that they can create those skills and produce that work themselves. If I were to recommend the piece of information that's been most useful for me as I've been thinking about metacognition and trying to refine my own practice, it would probably be recommendation 3, which talks about modelling your own thinking to help pupils develop their own metacognitive skills. I think sometimes we can become frustrated as language teachers because we become the kind of the know-all in the room. We are the walking, talking dictionary, and pupils rely on us very heavily to explain things to them or to translate things for them. But I think what I've taken away from that is if I model my thinking and my approach to a task, actually I'm showing them that I am the expert here, but I'm also the expert language learner, and that they can therefore replicate those skills and hopefully in turn become excellent language learners themselves as they see how we do that and how it works, and they can try it out themselves.